You are listening to Nerd Best Friends, a podcast that covers the nerdy conversations you're already having, or wish you could. It's the nerdiest thing you'll do this week.
This is Annalise.
This is Rob.
And we are your Nerd Best Friends.
The year is 2026, and it's time to look at our nerd goals for the new year.
Welcome to Nerd Best Friends, the show where the nerdy conversations you're already having get a microphone, and the ones you wish you were having get invited to the party. We are your nerdy co-pilots on an epic adventure through cosplay, comics, D&D, pop culture, and all the gloriously weird stuff that makes you realize these are my people. If this show makes you feel seen, laugh a little louder, or geek out a little harder, commit to the quest. Subscribe, follow, share this episode with a fellow nerd who needs to hear it. Help grow a community where curiosity, passion, and joy are always welcome. Strap in, roll for initiative, and let's make Season 5 our boldest, nerdiest, most chaotic good adventure yet. It's episode 89, Nerd Herd. Last episode, we went back to the future, and now it's time to focus on our nerd goals. How you doing, Rob?
We are living in the future.
We are.
I'm doing well. I am. It is the new year. I gotta say, I got the new year hangover. Not like I'm hungover right now, but just like I feel like since Thanksgiving, just go thing after thing after thing and party after party and meal after meal and event after event. I'm like, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation.
It's like we as a society in America decided we're going to put all of our family events here at the end of the year. And it goes by at a super fast pace too. It's not just that it's a lot. It's also that it just flies by. Like we're already mid-January and we're barely getting to sit down and talk about our goals.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And I made them back in, end of December, like coming up to New Year's. Like I was ready.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about our nerd goals, nerds, and it's our 26 for 26 annual episode. In the meantime, we're going to start out with some nerd mail.
Nerd mail. So you passed along an email from listener Is, who said he had comments about Supergirl, and he also agreed with you and Joan that it is like the very narration heavy format of this book was a distraction. He also said he tried to get through it and like ended up kind of skimming over stuff like, yeah, I get it. She's very
Ruthie.
poetic. Whatever.
She's Ruthie.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's Ruthie. Okay. I get it. He said that's typical, and we know from all of our interactions with listener Ish, he's a very comic book guy.
He knows his stuff.
And so he's read a lot of Tom King. He's like, yeah, that's Tom King. But he's like, but this is like extra Tom King. So that was good. Great feedback from that. And then he also, of course, talked about the art. We talked about the art a lot, that I really liked it and found like that it had a great tone. I love the monster. And he said what he likes about it is it's not that typical art style that you see in comics, right? Like when you picture a comic art, a picture of Superman in your head, it's not that. Right. It's just a different style, which is always engaging, gives you something to think about and look at when you're reading the book. So thank you for writing in, listener Ishmael. If you would like to write into the show, podcast@nerdbestfriends.com, and we'd love to hear from you.
And also, nerds, if you haven't listened to that episode, that is episode 82, in which we read the graphic novel Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, in preparation for the film coming out this summer. And since we've released that episode, have you seen the trailer?
I have. I did. I watched the trailer when it came out. I think I sent it or I reposted it when I saw it on social media. Interesting. Like, obviously, it's not going to be a frame for frame retelling of that book, but I definitely saw Ruthie in there with her big sword. So that's very cool.
Yes, and I didn't see dinosaurs. Did you see dinosaurs?
No.
Right. So like what I'm really thinking and what I was hoping, and we kind of got into it in the episode, and I think Ish kind of points it out. I think we are trusting James Gunn to take the really cool parts of this comic and make it into this movie.
Right. And obviously, I also saw a lot of not new characters, but I saw a lot of characters being introduced to stuff. They're like, oh, that's that guy, that's that guy, that's that guy. And the book is not like that. The book is very isolating on Supergirl. So I think this will be kind of a cosmic romp through different places. And I think in those different places, we're going to unfold some of the DC universe in film and meet some cool characters. So should be good. I really liked Superman, so I think I'll really like Supergirl.
And that might be one of our summer episodes to continue that flow in 2026.
I can almost guarantee it.
In the meantime, send in your deep thoughts, nerd questions, or talk nerdy to me subjects you'd like us to cover by sliding into our DMs or send those topics in an email, podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Let's get to our goals.
Lots of fun. We do this every year. For those of you who are just finding the Nerd Best Friends podcast, every year we do a list that we stole from another podcast, 5 years ago or something, maybe back in 19, where the idea was instead of making a punishment for yourself for the new year, like this year, I'm really going to stop eating donuts or whatever it might be for you. Instead, what if you look at it as an opportunity and make a list of all the really cool, fun things that you want to do for this year? And so in that, it would go after the year. So it was make a list of 19 things for 2019, 20 for 20, 21 for 21, and those kinds of things. And so we've been doing that for years and years. And as those numbers have climbed, it's been getting more and more difficult to keep up with and make a list of many awesome, cool, fun things to do. And it also just kind of evolved into different ideas. So last year, with the addition of Dr. Intern Joan on the show, I think that was the biggest overhaul of what we're doing with the list. And I know I've changed my format, and I imagine you have too.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Yeah. So last year, instead of doing a big list of 25 things, we were talking about, for me, I did an overall theme, which was intention. Let's pick some things that I really want to be intentional about and some very key things that maybe aren't super specific, but things that I want to get done. And so for 2025, I did 5 categories, and in each of those categories put 5 core important things there that I wanted to be intentional about during that year to kind of get that 25 vibe. But really, I was thinking of 5 big picture things. Remind us, what did you do in 2025 when you kind of started changing
things? So I did
things?
have a list of 25 things. I approach it because I didn't listen to that podcast. I kind of been following along when you and your family started to do it back, 2019 or so. You did a couple of years before that too, I think, as well. I think you're approaching 10 years of doing this. I think you started in
I could tell you, I have my Trello board open.
Well, you're looking at that. For me, philosophically, is I don't believe necessarily in New Year's resolutions. Mm-hmm. I believe if there are things about yourself that you need to change for better health, better mental wellness, you should be looking at those at all times. But I do realize the new year kind of helps people get jump started. So I make no judgment on people who do New Year's resolutions. It's just not for me. Also, as educators, we've talked about in previous episodes that the new year in January really feels like a mid-year reset for us because we live on a calendar year that's a school calendar from August to June. So New Year's Eve for me really feels like the night before the first day of school. I think, Rob, you're kind of in that same boat. So New Year's and these new resolutions right in the middle of the year kind of throws us off as educators. So for me, I did have 25 things, but they were not necessarily these 5 categories, but they were things that I wanted to complete, achieve, or spend my very precious spare time doing. So I was very intentional, and I had 25 very specific things. Mm-hmm. Different than in previous years where previous years we talked about having our Trello boards and having extra things that we could move and interchange. I want to do this instead. I want to do this instead. I was no, I want to focus on 25 things. I also appreciated some of our listeners and Patreon supporters. They've played games with the numbers. So when we got to 24, they did 2 plus 4. I'm going to do 6 hikes, or 2 plus 5. I'm going to do 7 miles of this. So I have also appreciated that numbers game as the numbers gone up.
Excellent. And did you get your 25 things done?
No, I have never completed my list. Right? My first experience of it was 2019, and that was my first go of it. I think I might have, I don't remember, I have to go back and look at my Trello board. The 2020, of course, nothing got
probably
finished because
everything on there couldn't get done. Yeah.
Couldn't do, right? So then since then, there's been things that I didn't quite complete, especially when it got to do 25 of these things it started to become super impossible.
Right. I also did not, but I could say like in all of those 5 categories, I had some progress and some success, right? Even
Correct.
if some of the more specific things didn't get there. And I think that just helps with the learning lesson of where I'm going into this year, making those things even more broad so that I can say like, oh gosh, I didn't tick off exactly that many of whatever, but I did do that, or I made progress towards it or whatever. And again, it's all stuff we want to do. It's not that whole New Year's resolution thing that you're talking about where like, oh, I'm giving up this and I'm giving up that and I can't do this. It's always like, what are fun, cool things we want to do? And I think I can get to them all. The oldest one I found was 2019. Okay. But I think also like, I don't have unlimited Trello boards forever, so I maybe have gotten rid of them. Or honestly, what I might have done is just changed it to 2018
copied it over
and refreshed it. You know what I mean? Like just kept
possible.
using the same thing for a while. And then I was like, oh, well, we're doing it on a podcast and stuff now. I'll have a record of it. So now I have separated it out.
To what you were saying, sometimes the things we were putting on our list, in order to complete it, required multiple steps. The list of 24 or 25 things for those years ended up being like 60 things, because in order to complete this one thing, I had to do these 10 things. So that's why Dr. Intern helped us be more purposeful. Even though I still listed 25, it was parsed out. And for you, it was categories parsed out. But now we're approaching 26, and we're going to do things. Probably, I imagine you're going to do things a little bit different as well this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I am taking a cue from, like you were saying, with listeners playing with the numbers and things like that. My board this year for 2026 is 6 categories with 2 things in each category.
Ooh, okay.
So there's really only 12 things on there, but I got 2 in 6. I got to 26.
Each of those 2 things on your list, I imagine, again, have multiple steps in order to complete. That's going to need a commitment for most of the year. Like one of those things, one of those categories, I'm going to guess maybe might be exercise. Well, that's not like a one thing and you're done, right?
Exactly.
We're talking about trying to build consistency over the course of time. That's not just a like, I exercise once.
Yes. So like I have been very happy with the morning walks that I've been doing this year. Like second half of the year, I really like got to be that person who gets up in the morning and gets dressed and goes outside, which sucks. I'm not going to lie, but I've made that more routine and I want to continue that routine and not be like, oh, it's a new year. I'm focusing on different stuff. And one of the things I'm going to focus on is sleeping in and being like lazy. Like, no, I'm going to keep doing it. Yes. So it's like, I'm not going to log and track every single walk like I used to. It used to be like, go on 25, get up 25 times and go watch the sunset for a watch. I'm like, no, I'm just going to be consistent. And in fact, that is my theme for this year is consistent.
Well, and I know we don't have Dr. Intern Joan on the show today, but she did send us a screenshot of what her board looks like. And she's going to go by seasons. And I think that's super smart, especially since she's lived somewhere where there are actual seasons versus where you live. So there are going to be different things to accomplish during the winter when it's snowy outside and you can't really go outside. So what does exercise look like in a place where outside hurts your face? And so I think it's super smart to go by winter, spring, summer, fall, because that's the course of a calendar year as well.
And it will be interesting to see, like when we touch base with her probably later on next season or in the year, what she has done. Her theme or her words of the year are analog and secondhand. And that's very interesting. Let's see what's up with that.
And I'm interested in the analog, especially since she reads a ton of books on her Kindle. So what does analog look like to her?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does analog
more physical
look like
books?
To her? And is there like a very purposeful thing that she's going to get into or get away from, or who knows? But we'll check in with that. Do you have a theme or a word of the year?
I haven't landed, but the thing that, I know we're already in it, but my theme may change throughout the year. But at this point, when I'm looking at the things on my list, I am also thinking consistency, because it doesn't matter about getting up and taking that walk. Sometimes the whole idea is that you're changing your habits to create purposeful long-term goals. So I'm not doing like 2,600 minutes of exercise. I did that for a couple of years to like gather up all my minutes of exercise. 26 miles of hiking. No, it's not going to be that. I need consistent. So for me, I'm kind of moving away from the numbers game a little bit, even though I am going to aim for a list of things as well that has sub-lists. So over the course of it, there's going to be 26 or more things I have to do, but consistency is going to be the key. Not just playing Final Girl in October. when I play like 20 games of it, right? So that's what tends to happen is when I have more blocks of time from work, it all gets chunked in. So for me, it's consistency. Can I make my life less stressful by being consistent with the things I want to do?
That is, I think we are very aligned on that as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we've got a setup. How do you want to start? How do you want to go through this?
Let's go with the first category we have to kind of talk about is something old. So something that maybe has been on your list since you started doing this or is continuing to be on your list once you put it on. Mine's real easy. I can go first real quick. It's reading goals. So I think I've mentioned lots of times, especially this past season, that I make a Goodreads goal of 12 books a year. And if I can get through one a month, then great. And I'm going to continue with that, even though I blew that one out of the water in 2025. I really did. I think I landed on 21 books. I almost doubled what my goal was. But that is rare. And that's because I've started doing a lot more audiobooks. But something's also changed. I don't know if it took this long out of the pandemic. I don't know if it took this long to get used to my job, but the reading of physical books is coming back with a force as well. So I'm going to keep it to 12 and hope that I can double it or maybe get to 26. That might be interesting. But at minimum, I'm going to do 12. So my reading goal is going to stay. And then I always have exercise goals. I like exercise. I like the pain and the perseverance that you need. There's something about the resilience I have within myself to always dig deeper. Like, I'm not a marathon person, but maybe by the time I'm 50, I can try a marathon. I'm slow as heck, so I don't know that there's ever one that won't time out before I can finish, but I don't know if that's a goal, but I want to be consistent. I'm going to continue my exercise goals. I'm just changing what it looks like to consistency instead of adding a number to it.
Well, that makes one of us because my body craves homeostasis and fermented carbohydrates.
Well, I think everybody's does as well, but
I don't know, man. The urge is strong. As far as old or, repeated things, I'm still using the Trello board. I think there's not really a reason to anymore because I'm not moving things on progression, right? It used to be like awesome, cool projects, things that I'm working on, and then mission accomplished at the end. And I would like move cards around. And I'm not really doing that anymore. I didn't do it last year. I am using the format to make headings and columns for those 6 overall things, but it could easily have been an organized list on reminders or Todoist or whatever. But I am still using a Trello just to kind of keep everything together and consistent there in one place. One thing that I think has been on there forever is what is the 3D project of the year? And so that's exciting. That rolled over, of course. And again, like, I'm not committing to it now. It will reveal itself when it reveals itself, just like it did last year when I made an awesome pirate ship for your goblins. And then another thing that's like consistently been on there is watching movies and shows and stuff with the family. And that's been a fun thing kind of to remind myself that it's a priority. So I don't make other plans on Friday nights and, whatever, but we have kind of a family dinner. We like choose a nerd show or movie that we want to watch. And that's changed, right? That's changed and evolved as we've gotten a late stage teenager and he's not home anymore. So it's no longer like we will watch these 6 shows or we will watch 26 things together like it used to be. It's like, no, just remember this is a priority and you want to do it and try to get some done. It's not going to be if I don't get 8, I failed. It's just in the family section, do those family dinners and watches with the fam. So those are some things I rolled over from other years.
Well, what about something new, Rob? Do you have something that has not been on your list since 2018 or 2019 or so?
I do. I have one thing that is new. I have a games section, as I often do. And in this games section, one of the things that I want to do and focus on is teach a couple of games that I like. So I have a lot of games, especially like tabletop miniature games. I love the miniature hobby and doing all that stuff, but I really just kind of play with Andrew or I play like solo with myself. And it's like, teach these games to people and see if there's any traction there. If other people be like, that was really fun. I'll come over and play Army Men with you on your cool 3D printed board and stuff. I think there's some opportunities there. There's some opportunities for some of our nerd friends in town and from some of our nerd friends out of town who have kids, and those kids are getting older and those kinds of things. So I think there's an opportunity there. So that's something new that I want to jump in on, is teaching some games so I can make more game friends. And then another thing that is new is in a category that I have not had before. My sixth category is finance. And that is one where I want to be the kind of person who is locked in, has not a budget in my head, but a budget like on a really detailed spreadsheet, and then also really lock in and know where my savings is, what my pension looks like, what retirement looks like, and have that mastered. And so, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
I'm not that guy yet. And I feel like, okay, well, I'm getting older. I need to be that guy that knows where all those pennies are and make decisions based on those important things. So
financial advisors are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
And they aren't accessible when you grow up poor. So knowing that they even exist is a thing, right? I've spoken to one this past year about a few things. And it's like, if I had just picked up that phone and talked to someone years ago, my whole situation could be completely different, but it's new. So yeah, that's a great one.
Right. So that's a new category for me. What is new for 2026 for you?
New for me, I've hesitated to do this other than I think for a couple of years, it was like complete season 2 of Nerd Best Friends. And I put some on there. Again, some of it ended up being filler, right? Like I know I'm going to finish this CTO program. So finish the CTO program was on my list for 2025. I'm saying that on your behalf, but
yeah, we all got it.
Finish my dissertation. Yeah, it was happening, right?
Exactly.
And so I've had some cheesy goals like that, but in this case, I want to put some personal goals, and I think it's also going to help me create some boundaries with my time. So when I say podcast goals and my personal goals, I don't mean we as a team have our meetings about twice a year, sometimes 2-3 times a year, to talk about where we're heading direction-wise, episode-wise, what are our goals for the season, so on and so forth. You know, we have growth goals and focusing on what we want our social media to look like. That's all stuff that's for us as a team.
Mm-hmm.
When I say my personal podcast goals, I want to stick to a schedule of some sort on when I am setting up clips for social media or when I am editing. And also happened a few times again this year where I got up at like 3:00 in the morning or 4:00 in the morning to finish editing an episode because I wanted to spend time with my partner on a Sunday when I typically edit. To avoid doing that in the future, although it isn't so bad, it's fine. It's a little annoying. I get tired early in the workday because I had been up, by the time school starts at 8:30, I've been up for already,
but also
5 hours.
This is it's supposed to be fun.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, editing is still fun. I still have fun doing it.
Yeah.
But I want to create some goals to help create boundaries on my time. I mean, that's what I've done so far, and I will likely adjust those and tweak those a little bit depending on the need. So
sure.
That's new this year.
I can imagine there's going to be a lot of talk about like, well, where are we going to focus those efforts? We were throwing things out on this platform or at these times, and maybe they're not having traction and we can let them go. There's probably a lot of automations and new things to invest in. Well, maybe we upgrade this to a paid account of something because it'll do a lot of the work for me. And that cost is worth those Sunday afternoons back or whatever it might be. So I like that a lot. I think that's great to reevaluate and just keep making something. Like you said, we work in education and there's this cyclical cycle to the year, to every single year. And so when those projects come up, what did we do last year? How could we tweak it to do it better, when we go through it this year? So I like that.
And also we have 2 paid services that are upping their game in the services they provide. So over winter break, I've spent some time with Linktree because we pay for the pro plan of Linktree. And now there's a bunch of automation or automated posting abilities like we were doing on Adobe Express. So excellent. I took time to look all over that and see if I can set it up so that things are a bit more automatic and it's not going to 3 different places to set up reels and
wonderful and
clips and all that stuff. So
and
it's stuff like
stuff
that
out there for people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
So that's new for me this year, is including this work because it is a significant amount of my year. Happily, right? It is a hobby for us, but why wouldn't I have some personal goals in the podcast production part that aren't the same as our podcast team goals? So that's where I think.
Cool. Awesome. So next we have, how did you set up your chart? And so do you want to start? You want me to go?
Sure. Yeah. I know we talked about this a little bit. I can go first real quick.
All right.
As I mentioned a little bit earlier in the episode, I started to notice how some of the things that I put on my list of 23, 24, 25 were things that were requiring many other steps in between. So what I did this year is really set it up in categories based on the timeline: a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, and a long-term goal. So
Okay.
most
That's
of
new.
my
I like this.
yeah, and most of my stuff I notice is long term. So then what does that long term goal look like? Then over on short term, I can put a couple of real quick steps to really, really plan out what it looks like to finish a long term goal this year. Because I have many long term goals that are just going over year to year to year that I've never accomplished. I just am trying to look at the steps to get to that long term goal and make that less meaty for 2027. And same with the medium term goals, right? A medium term goal is something that might not take me all 12 months to do. It might take me 6 months to do. And so that's going to go on a medium term. And then same thing where some of the things that I need to do for that medium term goal goes on a short term list. And then I'm really knocking things off the short-term list to create a domino effect on the medium and long-term goals.
Okay.
I've almost abandoned the number thing, right?
Yeah. Actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
I mean, but there are some numbers in it, and I can still play with the 26 number. It's just not as intentional as it has been on previous years' lists.
So on the long-term goals, you have the long-term goals in like the long-term goal column, and then do you have the short-term, like is it broken up like the short-term goals to get there? Or are those like checkbox to-dos in the long-term goal section under the goal? Like, I guess.
So what I've done is there are some short-term goals just organically that have nothing to do. They're no connection to medium and long. But under those is like item A from short-term or from long-term is over here in short-term. Here's 3 steps I need to do.
Gotcha. That's what I was wondering.
In order to. So correct.
Almost like project and then like tasks.
The project management. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
But in my head, ringing it as short-term, medium-term, long-term is helping me realize like, oh, when we do our mid-year or late-year check-in in September for season 6, I'm not going, look at all this stuff I haven't done. I'm going, look at all these steps I've taken to try to complete my bigger long-term goals.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, that's totally different. That's a big refresh for the layout.
And we'll see.
Like I said, I also really refresh mine. I'm just playing with the numbers. 2 things in 6 categories. So, but I'll share my big categories are health, games, projects, painting, family, and finance. Those are my 6 overarching things. And of course, because I'm me, like 3 of those things are kind of the same thing, but it's like the fun, like hobby stuff that I really like to do. So I kind of cheated it there. So yeah. And so each of those things are like more broad goals, right? The 3D printer project, taking morning walks. I have a couple specific things in there. Like this year I decided I really have fun with Orktober. Oh, it's going to be fun. We're going to play orcs and it's like, we're going to paint orcs and it's going to be like this fun thing. And I was like, oh, you know what though? That was really just me sitting alone, getting sick of painting orc boots, right? So I'm like, no. This year we're going to play a game in Orktober. We're going to get orcs on the table. And I think that can even go into some of those goals I have of teaching someone a new game. Like, oh, here's a bunch of orcs. Let's learn this game and take some pictures of orcs on the table and us playing. That's a better Orktober than just me thinking about orcs
just
and painting
orcs.
A million eyeballs. So a couple specific things, but for most of it, it's just broad goals in those 6 categories.
Nice. And I like that there's crossover.
Yes.
So, right, like I know you're saying like 2 things in 6 categories, but realistically, it's a lot deeper than that.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, because each of those things, like you said, it's really about the consistency and it's not about the tracking and like nitpicking of each thing.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Just getting it done.
Funny because we kind of have that in common with how we said it. But I think Dr. Intern Joan also has that in common by using the seasons instead of this big list of 26 things that we've all kind of noticed. It's bits and not the big picture all at once.
Right. And that's an interesting way to do it too, because you can think of those kind of cycles through the year and like remind yourself that like, oh, I want to do something different or I want to do something fun. Like, let's not forget next winter when I have the opportunity to see this cousin that comes into town every time, I want to make sure that we do this or whatever. I don't know. Like things like that.
Yeah,
like, in the summer, I want to make sure that I don't forget to do this new thing that I was thinking of. Who knows? She could tell us more when we talk to her, probably at our mid-year check-in.
For sure. What's your top goal, Rob? Is there like one thing above all others that you want to achieve in your nerd goals this year?
Yes. Well, I'm afraid to say the one that I want to say. So I do have the health one on there and I really do need to focus on that. And I was, in 2025, I did that CTO program. And it took a ton of time and it took a lot of effort and dedication. And so through that whole time, I was like, if I can focus on this thing for this many hours a week, I certainly have time to focus on other hard things. And one of those hard things for me is health, exercise, diet, those kinds of things. So what I want to say is the most important one and the one I want to focus on is the health one, but I'm afraid to say that one because
I get it.
So really what I want to do is get that gaming, is do that gaming. I want to be playing games with my families, especially Andrew, while I still have time. That's kind of a thing that I say every year. Like, it's only going to be fewer and fewer games and stuff. Getting Maria more into games. She really likes painting. And so I think trying new games, teaching other people new games, and then finding like which are the ones that people think are fun. I think they're all fun and interesting, but what is one or two games that people latch onto, and then building that and getting excited about having people over, getting miniatures on the table, having snacks, doing the whole thing. Like that's where I'm excited about this year.
Yeah.
All right. For you, top goal.
I really want to complete at least one of my long-term goals that I'm calling long-term goals now, that have gone year over year over year.
Okay.
And they're pretty lofty. And I've recognized that some of them aren't things that can necessarily be done in a year. So then it's retooling that goal. As an example, like I wish I could speak and understand more Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
So in past years, it's like in 2024, it was like 24 hours of practicing Spanish, right? And I have Rosetta Stone, and I completed those 24 hours, but it didn't make me a better Spanish speaker, right? So retooling what that looks like. And so that's one that may never be complete unless it becomes suddenly fluent in Spanish. I don't know if it's fair to continue to have that on my goal sheet. So that's just an example. It's probably a bad example because of that, because it's one that's never done. But I have a few long-term projects that I've been tinkering with since I had a bit more time in my life. And that was when I was working on my doctorate degree. I had this like list of things that I wanted to do that I've just not completed. And they've been on every year's list. So I'm hoping by breaking it up into long, medium, and short-term goals that I can create some really tangible steps to finish at least one of them. There's like 4 off the top of my head, and I hesitate to say them out loud because I don't want to jinx it, but I want to finish at least one. My top goal is to finish at least one of those long-term goals.
Oh, so you don't have to share them if you're a little nervous or if they're like kind of personal, but with the Spanish one, for instance, what does success look like? If these are long-term goals and they really don't have a finish, like you're never going to be like, well, you know what? I'm completely fluent and perfect in Spanish. My Spanish is better than my English now. I can take this off, right? So what does success look like at the end of the year for those long-term goals?
I mean, that's a good question. I think on the Spanish one, I would love to be able to converse with more families that come in for help to the front office. And so that's not even fluency, right? That's being able to hear what their question is and either answer it myself or know where to send them to answer the question. And I don't mean where to send them in terms of Spanish. I want to be able to reply, oh, you get that form from this office. This is the person you need to talk to start that process, or have you spoken to the counselor about their class? Like to be able to have that academic sort of conversation without having to say un momento, yo hablo poquito español, and bringing someone who is bilingual. Right. If I can answer those low-level questions, even if not well, I have to be able to understand them and process them and answer them. So I've learned a lot from my bilingual staff at my current site. And I will say Santa Barbara Unified, where you work and where I've worked before, they have it locked in for bilingual support. But though, as good as it is, it doesn't help people wanting to learn to get better. It's just there, and it's so good that it's like pushing a button and boom, you have translation or interpretation, right? Yeah, Here at my school, I have people who are helping me learn. And what I've learned is there's not a lot of really clean academic translations for a lot of the words we use, like counselor. Even to call someone a senior in high school has multiple ways it can be done because the translation's not clean. Practicing something like Rosetta Stone is not really helping me in that realm because it's giving me general language acquisition, but it's not helping me in my specific role. And that's really what I want to be able to do.
That makes perfect sense. So that success that success looks like a family comes in, they need support. You're able to get them in the right direction, what they want without panicking or having to like go get somebody.
Correct. Yeah. And I have 2 books that I want to write, and it's really just getting disciplined enough to actually sit down and write. So, and one of them requires a lot of research and one of them doesn't. Like what can I do to start chipping away, at least finishing something?
Wow. That's
So
that's a share. Wow. Yeah, we have, it's kind of a different world. To have that Spanish in a professional setting is certainly challenging. Like I have a person on staff. He's wonderful, our help desk person, and he speaks Spanish. He can go to Mexico. He's,
right.
he knows Spanish. But when somebody calls on the phone with a technical question and have to like troubleshoot something or walk them through clicking on a screen over the phone, he's like, I need help. And it's like, and that's fine, because we have some very fluent Spanish speakers, like first language Spanish speakers and stuff, but like professional setting Spanish is a whole different beast. And you're right. You're not going to get that on Duolingo. You gotta it's gotta be in real life and real practice.
And like today, this afternoon of air date for our episode today, I'm flying to Cancun. So to be able to like go through customs, and that was a thing last year because I had no idea that the customs lady was saying something a year ago that I had never heard those words before. And then, I get the extra stigma because of who I am, because I am I'm Mexican American. I'm Chicana.
Yep.
I get the like, do no hablas, do no hablas.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, no, I don't speak Spanish.
Like judgment.
So I have the extra stigma kind of fueling this, but realistically, I don't need to be fluent. I just want to be able to be conversational in areas that are applicable, right? I want to be able to go in that resort and order some food, which I'm actually okay at. That's where I'm most comfortable, is because that's where Duolingo and Rosetta Stone sit, is like, oh, you're going to go order at a restaurant. Here's how you order at a restaurant. So like, I'm actually decent with those things. I'd love to apply that at places like in a professional setting.
Very good. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. But I want to finish one. That's my top goal. All right. So every year we have a goal that I know, probably more for me, more than one, that just, it keeps getting on our list and just feels like it's unattainable. So Rob, I am asking you to lay it out on the table right now, name it, so that we can maybe nerdily hold each other accountable, or at least it's out in the universe. And now you're like, I have to do it so that I can tell our audience, all of our nerd best friends and the nerd herd, that I did it. What's the one thing?
It's the weight loss. It's the health one. Like I said, was the one that I just keep thinking about and I really need to get serious about. It's the hardest one. It's the hardest one for me. And I hate it. I'll even like talk myself out of it at different points during the year. Like, you know what? This sucks. I'm miserable and I'm grumpy and I just want to eat cheeseburgers. This is dumb. Why did I even put that on my list? Like, I'm that guy. I just really struggle with it. And it's one of those things. It's like, you can logically know everything about it. Like I could logically know, like, I have to burn more calories than I consume if I want to do this. Like, it's so obvious, but I just struggle with it. And there's a mental block there. There's genetics there. There's all these kind of different things that it is, but it wasn't on my list last year, because last year was one of those years that I like convinced myself, like, whatever, I don't care about that. I'm like,
gotta finish that program. Yeah.
Like, I do. I want to not be like the dude who has to walk up the stairs to the meeting and sits there with a red face and sweat because I had to walk up 3 flights of stairs, or, just be more comfortable in my clothes, be more comfortable, out places and stuff, because, I'm just that guy. So it's rough. So it is definitely the one that it seems like year after year just gets worse. So I'm doubling down and I'm going to try again this year.
Well, it doesn't help that it gets harder as we age as well. Everything, like, you're battling genetics, you're battling habits, and you're battling age. And we're not old, but as we age, it gets harder, right?
The metabolism.
You used to be able to eat a 20-piece McNugget when you were 16, no big deal. And now that you're older than that, probably can't even finish a 20-piece
And
nugget.
it's really weird. Like, no, I am certainly not alone, but like being like, I was a skinny teenage boy and I got incredibly bad habits from living that life.
Because you were a skinny teenage boy that could get away with eating thousands of calories.
Exactly.
You're definitely not alone in that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So we're all in this together, my fellow fat nerds.
Let's do it. It's all about health. It's not about dieting. It's not about doing anything but slightly changing some of your habits make big impacts with consistency. That's why consistency.
And that's the theme, is the consistent. The theme is just keep moving, just keep going forward. I didn't put any numbers on it. I'm not like 6 pounds for 26. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just be consistent with what I'm doing and try to do a little more so I get a little better. Those
You
kinds
got to
of
get
things.
that death AI clock going in the right direction.
Exactly right. I mean, the
Bringing
numbers
it
are
back
there.
around.
The numbers are there. It's telling me like you're gonna die if you don't figure this out, bud.
Oh,
Okay,
love
so that was me bearing my soul and embarrassing myself. How about you? What's the thing that seems so unreasonable?
Best friend, that's not an embarrassment. That's something I think all nerds deal with because our hobbies innately have us sitting at a table, eating some rich foods and sipping on some suds while we play games. Like, you're definitely not alone. Like, that's a thing, right?
For
like,
sure.
you talk about mini painting and 3D printing. None of those are on a treadmill.
Nope, sure ain't.
So no, I appreciate your candor there. I've dealt with weight my entire life. I was not a skinny teenager, and now dealing with diabetes and now dealing with all the things that come with my family history. So right there with you, right? I struggle with how much I'm sitting or staying in one spot a lot. So like right there with you. We'll do it together, best friend.
Thank you for your encouragement.
Yeah. For me, it's a bit more, I guess it's cheekier. This is the year I am determined. It's not my top goal, but I am determined to just finish clearing out the garage to the point that we can park a car inside. That's my goal. Like we've actually, since we moved here to Ukiah, now that I'm in my third school year, I know that by calendar years, I moved in 2023. So it's just 2 years ago, but I'm in my third school year. Every time we have a break, we're taking everything out, making trips to Goodwill, putting stuff up on eBay, every break, and it's diminishing. So I'm thinking we're at a point that the stuff that, like, Sarah has some stuff she wants to give to her kids when they start having kids. So some of that stuff has to get put away. And I started putting some stuff in I call them suck bags, vacuum bags. So like when it's summer and we're suck bags.
You're a suck bag.
I'm not a suck bag. Your mom's a suck bag.
Your face is a suck bag.
Gotta love Gen X. Like when it's summer and we don't need the real thick blankety blankets, those go into vacuum bags. They go into suck bags and get put in the garage in a bin so that we take them out next year. They're fresh and clean in that bin and we can pull them out, use them for the winter. Ukiah has some-ish weather, more than Santa Barbara, but not as much as Joan gets in Oregon. So within that, like I definitely have winter coats and clothes that go in a suck bag and put in a bin in the garage. So we're not going to be empty in the garage, but we are going to be purposeful with what's stored in there. And that is one that seems impossible every year.
So now you're going to reward yourself when you get your garage clean enough to park a car there. You're going to get like a new fancy car.
No.
Is that going to be a thing?
I am probably going to
now that I got the garage, we're getting
we're thinking one of two things. One, the Prius is aging. It's 12 years old now. It's got 120,000 miles. We want to try to keep it as good as long, and it might be in our best interest to start parking it in the garage out of the heat.
Oh, I was going to say, you want to sell it to a specific 17-year-old I know?
It's possible. Sarah's been talking about it, but it's one of those things that's really hard because we don't owe any money on it, and it's really good condition. And you helped us by driving it up here with Andrew, and that was 2 years ago. It's drives the same,
and I've been thinking about it ever since. I was like, "Ooh, I should like buy this car off on a lease for Andrew."
There you go. It's possible. We could talk off podcast if Sarah gets serious about it. But in the meantime, because it does get into the hundreds here in the summer, it's in our best interest to park it in the garage. And it's small, so I'd still be able to have my home gym, because I do have my home gym. I have a treadmill, a bike, and some free weights and some dumbbells set up in there. That's where I exercise. So we have to be able to still fit that. And also when it's raining, Sarah walks a couple dogs, and when it's raining, they don't like to hang out in the backyard. So she's created a small area that they can like roughhouse and play in.
Well, that makes sense. You just put them in the garage and they run around. And
they just run around in this spot of the garage. So the idea is that we can continue to have both of those spaces, have a small amount of things that are necessary for us to hold on to. Christmas decorations go in 2 bins, Halloween decorations go in 2 bins. So there's going to be bins in there, but it seems impossible.
But I remember you've got like shelves on the wall and everything can be out of the way and labeled. And
Yep.
I don't think that's unreachable. I think you can do it.
Every year it seems unreachable. Every year. It never gets done.
Well,
but
we'll be waiting this summer. There's going to be a picture, put it on Instagram, of a car in a garage, and we're going to know you did it.
That's the hope. By summer, before it gets into the 100 degrees here in Ukiah, that priest can come inside. Also, the super cold. We get the super cold. We get overnights in the 20s and 30s with freeze warnings. Wouldn't be a bad thing to protect the older model vehicle. So
nice.
We'll see.
Anything else on your list that you haven't talked about yet that you're excited for?
But I think the only thing for me is that it's going to be changeable. There's going to be things that get taken off that list and things that get added on. I am not going to lock myself into 26 things like I've done in the previous years. We'll see when we do mid-year check-ins where I'm at. How about you? Anything else for you that you haven't mentioned yet?
I have a fun one that I will probably fail because it'll be out of my hands. But
okay.
I've lamented and I've talked about and joked about the idea of the mini of the month that Games Workshop does. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually have a line on my shelf, January, February, March, April, and have all the minis painted and lined up on there? I think that would be really cool. It's fun because it's one of those things where it's like that shop is out of town. So I can always pair it with something else. Like, oh, I'm going to go pick up the mini of the month and visit some friend, or I'm going to go to the mini of the month, but we're also going to make it like a date night and, go to a restaurant down there or something like that. Like pair it with something, do something fun. I just could picture it in my head, the shelf with the labels on it, and like, it would be so cool. But again, like, how many times have I told stories on this show of like, I went and tried to get the mini of the month and I went to 3 different places and everybody blew me off and blah, 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 because it's whatever.
Right.
So we'll see, but that's a fun one that I'm on there that I could do it. I could do it, darn it.
I know you can. Well, and you got interrupted a little bit over the past calendar year because of your CTO program. So it was
specifically that program happens on the first weekend of the month and the mini comes out on the first weekend of the month. So many times I'd go on like the second weekend of the month or most likely the third weekend of the month because I was gone the last weekend. So I have more to do this week. And so I think I only ended up with like 3 or 3 or 4 of last year. Oh, it'd be cool. It might not happen, but I'm excited. I'll try.
At least you can schedule it now. You can. Right. I know if you schedule it, you'll have the highest chance to complete it.
I've got a good chance this year to do it. So we'll see how that all blows up in my face. Either way, it will be an adventure.
That is a fun one. Good on you. Well, nerds, those were our goals for 2026. What about yours? Podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Let us know. All right, you're working on those nerd goals, Rob. In the meantime, whether it was part of your nerd goals or not, what's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
The nerdiest thing I did this week was I found a new fun tool. I got this from a YouTube channel and it was a painting channel. And the guy was talking about keeping track of his colors, inspirations, like whatever, and using this kind of like project board or like collage board to collect things and do stuff. And I'm like, I've had like painting recipes before. Like I'll write down the different paints that I use on certain things, especially when I'm painting big forces of like armies, like orcs, right? Like, okay, I'm going to paint a zillion of these orcs. I'm not going to sit down and paint them. Like it's a long-term goal. I'm going to paint 5 now. And then 6 months from now, I'm going to paint another 5. So I want to remember which paints I use. This is different than that kind of list because what it does is it makes it really easy to just like grab pictures and throw them on this board. It's called Milanote, I think.
Milanote, like Milli Vanilli?
Just like Milli Vanilli. Milanote.
Milanote.
And so it is, let me give you a little, there we go. So this is a board that I created for my Mythic Battles Ragnarok board game that I'm painting. And so looking for inspiration, I run around and like find different images of these kind of painted miniatures and just start throwing them on this board. And it's helping me kind of just have a reference point without having to go find it every time. And within this board, you can make different boards, kind of breadcrumbs. So I was like, let's see, I could go character by character. I'm going to be painting these shield maidens. So I made one for the shield maidens and grabbed some different pictures of shield maidens from different media and threw them all on this board to kind of have that while I'm painting them and getting ready and thinking about planning, like, oh, what are the colors that I want to use? What are these going to look like? And just kind of going back and forth on those kinds of things of, oh, here's how other people painted these. This is how this character looks in comic books. This is how this character looks in different TV shows or movies. So, and getting those kind of ideas. And now they're all just like in this one place. And I thought I had seen it and I was like, I don't know. Do I have to like go get all these pictures and it's going to be like a challenge to keep everything organized and stuff? And it's like, no, it turned out it's really easy. You just have this open and you open your browser and you're like, oh, I like that picture. Drag it over and it just figures it out like magic.
Well, because we are an audio podcast, let me describe a little bit of what this looks like. So what Rob is showing on the screen, it looks almost like a collage, as if you took a old school board and you cut out a bunch of pictures and you have a collage. But on this collage where you just described that you can click and drag from other sites, which is giving that collage feel where there's some overlapping and stuff. There's also clickable items for each individual character in which there are more examples. And then it looks like on one of them, maybe some notes about what you like.
Yes.
So start typing. So you put some notes in like what you want to do, or
you could. So you could like the different things you can throw on these boards are not just images. I'm using it for reference images, but you can put to-do lists on there. You can put like links to different websites. You can make text boxes. You can do like a spreadsheet table on there. There's really no limit to it. You just grab it and drag it over there and boom, it's in there. So
look at that.
Really
so Rob
handy.
just grabbed like some cells and you just dragged it over, it popped on the screen, and then you can type in on these cells a little chart. Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
It's cool. So this is a new fun tool. I'll probably find all kinds of different things that I can figure out to use it for. And it's a free tool. Like
Milanote. Okay.
Milanote. And so that's how I'm using it, but it looks super, super handy for those kinds of projects and stuff. So I'm nerding out about Milanote.
Yeah. And you can do links. So like if you're working on something, you can link to like a Google Doc or whatever that you're using.
Absolutely. I could put that's actually a good idea. Like if I have paint recipes in a Google Doc, I could just put the link to that Google Doc right on the page. So I'm looking at a visual reference and I've got the list all in the same place.
That's
a
amazing.
Really good idea.
That's amazing.
Yeah. How about you? What is the nerdiest thing you did this week?
So it is in alignment a little bit what we talked about with my nerd goals. And I've mentioned on the podcast before about how I struggle because I have just the one folding table in my nerd room to take out. And so I'll take that out to fold laundry. And then sometimes the laundry stays on there. Or I set up Final Girl in October and it's just out the whole month, which means unless I put that game away every single time, I'm not playing anything else. So as I looked at my 26 for 2026 and how I wanted to achieve the goals with consistency, I came up with, I think, is a good little system that is tagged along something I talked about for 25 for 25 for last year was about the do one thing every day. So instead of coming home and just collapsing, I'm going to do one thing every day. And I did lose that for a little bit. The fall of the school year was really rough in a lot of ways. Again, nothing crazy bad, just a lot of really high level things that I had to spend a lot of focus on. So I lost some of my ability to come home and focus. A lot of times I was coming home and just kind of collapsing on the couch, eating dinner and falling asleep on the couch. So absent of that, towards the end of 25, I was able to really come back around to let me do one thing every day. And it just helps invigorate me when I get home and re-energize me and allow me to not just shut down unless I really, really, really needed to. So I'm applying that idea to this table so that it no longer stays out for multiple days. That does mean I'm going to put the game away. Game is over. If it's 11 o'clock at night and I need to go to bed, my one thing the next day is going to be putting the game away.
All right.
So I think that's going to help.
It all wraps around the table, right? It's one thing on that dang table, whether it's the laundry, whether it's the game, whether it's setting up the next thing. Okay, gotcha.
And then at some points, at least once a week, that table needs to get put away so I can clean and dust and make sure things aren't getting piled on all my shelves, which starts to happen, right? It just all gets piled. And then, we have our housekeeper come, so then it gets shoved into the different shelves. So I also spent time winter break pulling everything out that I had shoved in and actually going through it. And I can't continue to do that. It's not sustainable because things get piled on things and I don't want to pull them out. So I'm approaching it from a habits space to create consistency on that table. And then at least once a week, it gets put away so I can make sure the nerd room, my one thing that evening may be straightening up the nerd room and putting everything back where it belongs.
Very cool. The table thing.
We'll see how it goes. Yes, it's the table thing.
The
So
table.
the nerdiest thing I did this week was really try to come up with that. So what does it look like now that we're back at work? What does it look like that I'm going to be gone
I have put
for 4
hours
days?
of thought and effort into this stupid table.
Well, I actually kind of sat down and wrote out some ideas.
I
Like
believe it.
for
Yeah.
you with spreadsheets, for me, like handwriting on paper, like what's going to work and kind of thinking through and jotting down notes as I'm thinking it to be able to come up with the system. So I can check
Super
back.
cool.
Check
How
back in a
fun.
few months and we'll see how it goes.
The odyssey of the table.
It's going to be amazing.
It's one of Dr. Intern Jones' favorite films of all time. And now we're going to nerd out over Return to Oz, the 1985 dark movie full of practical effect goodness. Before you go, join us. Hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you felt the nerd love, drop us a 5-star rating and help more nerds find their people. Find us on social at NerdBestFriends or email podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Grow the nerd herd, spread the geeky joy, and we'll see you next time.
I'm looking forward to watching Return to Oz. I'm looking forward to knocking some of these nerd goals off my list.
I am looking forward to all of the listeners having a nerd goal for themselves to support their favorite podcast by going to patreon.com and throwing us a couple of bucks. It really makes a difference.
Really makes a difference. Hey,
But
free koozies for new subscribers.
And honestly, if you want to do something free, a 5-star review on Apple Podcast is also very helpful because it helps more people find the show.
Please, please, please. And thank you. That is one of our New Year's resolutions for the podcast is another percentage of growth for this year. So let's go, Nerd Herd. It's on you.
Awesome. All right. I got to go watch this movie. I'm actually really stoked to see it. So
yeah, I'm going to watch it at night with the candles lit and all that stuff because it looks super spooky. I love it.
I'm going to tell Maria we're watching Wicked for Good, and then I'm going to pop this in.
We're watching The Wizard of Oz. Here we go.
Yep. Awesome.
All right, nerds.
See you next time.
Later.
All right. Anything else on
else,
your
Rob?
list? Oh, I was going to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, do it. Go ahead.